me just jump off to the second set of issue, which I think is probably considerable importance in the entire space. Fintech, as you can, by the time you say the word fintech in Silicon Valley, somebody is ready to write the check for you to start a company. And there is this, Laura is kind of smiling. In fact, numo was part of the impetus for starting numo was they figured out as to how much they have to pay for those fintechs if they want a small piece of any of the fintech company. And then it occurred to them that that money might be more wisely used for an internal incubator. So the question here is that fintech, and some of them like Robinhood have done extremely well, and a number of fintech companies are coming out in this space. How do you see the competition emerging between fintech and well-established financial institutions? And Lara's in the middle of that. She's literally on both sides of the equation. So I thought it would be great to kick it off this question with Lara.
Yeah, so I'll start with kind of explaining what numo is and the idea behind numo. And it's kind of exactly what Kannan said, who was part of the early stage thinking on numo as well. So he knows quite a bit about us. What was an interesting concept is Dave, who is our CEO, was saying that, these smaller startups have their own advantages. Legacy banks and institutions have their own advantages, but they also have their flaws as well. And how can you take the best of both of those worlds? So how can you take the kind of industry like trust that like a bank would have with the financial data, kind of the large number of customers or relationships they have, but its negative is the legacy infrastructure, right? It's slow. It just moves so slow to try to do anything or make any change. It's slow. And then on the startup side, it's the opposite. It can move super fast. It can be in new tech stacks. They just move and they're really nimble, but they maybe don't have that reputation. So it's a little bit harder for them to establish or grow. So how can you combine those two worlds? And that is numo. And that's the concept of it. So when I think about how these two worlds are merging, I look at it from a bit of kind of two angles. One, as a bank, it's about partnership with them. The banks have to partner with the fintechs. We can't pretend that we can't. And so I think in the beginning, we didn't even maybe consider them like 5-7 years ago that they were big challengers to us or anything. I think it's becoming really clear that they are. And so I think part of it is around partnership and how the banks can work with them, not push them away. I think the other piece of it is how do we learn from them? They do move faster. And I think where it hurts the bank often is it's not that they don't have really smart people, really great ideas or concepts around products. It's that it takes them forever to deliver it based on kind of the architecture that they have, maybe the governance and risk structure they have around it, where it could be a fintech to launch a new product idea in the market in 12 months. A bank may take 3 years, 4 years, 5 years to do the exact same thing at scale just because of how it's structured. So for us at numo, we're really trying to spend a lot of time learning from how fintechs are able to do that so fast and just do that. I think the last piece, and when we were doing a prep call, I mentioned this, that I think is just really interesting. When I look at fintechs, what you see is most of them are doing pieces of like kind of microservices. They get really good at one specific thing, whereas a bank is offering end-to-end products. And so that will always be kind of our advantages is we're doing something holistically across like entire kind of banking relationship of a customer, where a lot of the fintechs that we would partner with focus on one thing, whether it be specifically on payments, whether it may be invoicing or whatever it may be. The fintechs tend to have a specialty, but because they specialize, they do it better than basically anybody else. And I think that that's the other piece where we can learn from them and partner with them.